Hello there. It's lovely to have you join me again on what will hopefully be for a while a weekly video. I will see how things get on in a few weeks and see whether I've got the oomph to do anything in the midweek. But it is lovely, and thank you once again for lovely comments. And I'm sorry I didn't get round to reply to others last week. I just lost the focus and other things, but I'm here. I am here. I'm doing okay. The IBS has calmed right down thanks to FODMAP. I've discovered various things I can eat, including sourdough bread made from wheat. Yay! And I've discovered I quite like it. Last time I tried it, I really didn't, and that was a long time ago. So I'm guessing that as you age and you go through various hormonal changes in your life, your palate changes as well. So that's really good. And various other bits and bobs I've reintroduced. Onion is okay, garlic is definitely not. Not in large amounts. Garlic infused oil is the best thing for me. It gives me the smell and the hint of flavour, and it doesn't upset. So I'm learning, but it is a slow process, because every time I eat something that doesn't agree with me, I need to leave it a number of days until everything settles down. So I'm pleased to report that. Yes, I'm so happy, and I'm fine to be vegan. I'm fine being vegan. My diet is getting broader as I reintroduce more foods and discover what I can eat, and that's only to the good. And lots of fruits and veggies that I love are still okay for me, so I'm fine. Everything else, I'm still very tired a lot of the time. I'm not sure what that is. I know that IBS is linked to fatigue, but so is perimenopause, menopause. And I sometimes just can't get a clear head or think straight. And I know that's linked to perimenopause particularly as well. So again, it's a process of coping with things and learning to give myself time to do things. And I'm burbling about things. Now, if you watched my last video, you'll see this is as far as I got, and I've left it that way because I wanted to see if people would like to see this completed in a number of videos. So I'm happy to do that, but I would like to show you very quickly a version of that I did. And you can see here, it's similar, but it's different. You can see the flowers, 3 flowers here. There's the head here, spiral there, some leaves here, but it's completely different other than that. I don't know whether it's going to end up going this way. Let me move it over here a bit so you can see it all. I really don't know, because I'll work on that, and the lines that I've drawn there and the motifs and shapes, and they'll inform me into which direction I'd like to go. I did see one comment when somebody asked how I'm going to fill in the spaces, the gaps. Well, this one I think I've done a bit too much. I didn't use black here. I used tiny little rounded rectangles and tiny little circles, which does give some depth, but I'm almost tempted to go back over these with a black pen and just make it black in places and leave it open in others. I haven't decided whether I want to add any colour, because this one that I did, I think it's these blue bits. Hang on, let me put the autofocus on. There we are. I think it's these blue bits here that cause me problems. Yeah, this is marker paper, so it is sort of it's sort of translucent, so you can see things beneath if you wish. So it's easy to copy, a dark sketch through if you want to. But I'm not really sure. Did mean to try those in black. I think I'll have to scan it in and do it digitally and see how I feel. And I might be able to, I say I might, I know I can adjust the colours if I want to digitally as well. So that's an example of what it could look like, but I'm not sure, because I think I haven't got that balance right. And this is one that I finished yesterday. I've done 2. These 2 have taken me since last Saturday to complete. It's been a long, slow process for me, because I've had to nap, I've had bits and bobs I've had to do, days where I've been absolutely good for nothing. So, but I am thoroughly enjoying this, and you can see the kinds of shapes and patterns. This one I did finish yesterday, and I'm happy with this one compared to this one, because although there's some dark areas, there's a lot more lighter areas left in there. And again, I'm not sure, like this is very intense. This part here is very intense. Yet there is a face there. It looks almost scaly, a bit like, I don't know, what do you call them? Like a lizard face or something like that. And there's some darkness up here, but on the whole, it feels a lot lighter and brighter. And again, I don't know if I want to add colour or whether I'm just going to try to intensify some of the shade, the darker areas, just to, or darker parts, or add some shade to parts, just to bring out the layers and the depth. But I don't know what I want to do that with, whether I'm going to use markers, because this is marker paper, so it won't take other media. And I think it's only alcohol markers it will take. It won't work well with watercolour markers, for example. So again, I will be scanning this in, and so I can try things out there and see how it feels. And digitally means that if I don't have to ruin my original drawing, which is something I should have done with the green and blue one. And this is what I started yesterday. This seems to be a theme, these kinds of faces that appear. I don't plan to put them there, but it seems to be the thing at the moment. No, this isn't. Yes, this is the one I started yesterday. Where did I put last week's one? Oh, over there. And it just grows as it needs to. This I was hoping to put like what looked like a pile of bubbles in there, but I really didn't get my pen lines right, so it's ended up like, I don't know, seeds? Yeah, it's almost like, you know, the top of the lotus seed or lotus roots, something like that. It's got the big holes in. It's a bit like that, I suppose, but not at the same time. What I do like about these faces is how these lines have grown with them and added some interest to the face. Again, I've started adding texture. I'm going to try to do that as I go along more. And trying to keep it balanced. You know, by texture, I mean where places are dark and not so dark. This does need some adjustment because it's all very much the same, but I can do that at a later time or later date. So let me pop that one out of my way and let me get this one back. And just let me adjust my camera and I'll be back. Okie dokes, glasses out, off we go. Okay, so if I remember rightly, it's been a week, but I think, did I use an 05 pen? I will soon find out. And this is the same 05, I'm not going to be very happy. Because if I remember rightly, it wasn't functioning very well. But it's not too bad. It'll do. I've got loads of pens, that's my problem. And I'm very hard on nibs. So there we are. Let me just move my mouse and mat out the way so I've got a bit more space for my drawing and for this. So I want to work over here a little bit, and I particularly want to have something happening here to connect the top of this very fine foliage kind of crown here up to the top, and as curves and swirls are my go-to shape. Even when I draw things that are squarish, they've always got the curve to them. I'm going to put that there, but do I want to? Because if I can have one as if it's coming from behind here, but hidden as well, as if it's connecting down below. And then that gives me a kind of a band, a ribbon, a border, an edge there. So I'm just going to complete the top there and there. I was thinking about chopping this down in size as well, because I can do that quite easily, and it'd be quite nice to work on a smaller piece of paper. But I haven't done that yet. Let's see if I can get this part done, and then I'll consider it over there. So I could get this in the centre. These are now about a third of the way across. It's sort of like there's a kind of focal point here. This one's a bit too low to be a third of the way up or down. This one's a bit too high up, but perhaps together they make a kind of focal point. And I quite like, go back to this, I quite like this shape and this idea. So I think I'm going to do this here again. like so. Again, I like to do this as I go along. I think I've said it before, I could use a ruler to draw these lines perfectly, but I much prefer the perfectly imperfect human touch on these things. So I'm going to again do this here, and I think it's going to be a great big one. But they're getting, oh, I say they were getting closer. This one is a bit further, but they are generally narrower at the top than they are at the bottom, which wasn't something I planned on, but it's just happened. There we go. So that I feel is quite nice. Although I am almost tempted just to put one coming from behind this. And perhaps there. Just to complete that feeling that this is all connected back to this crown shaped thing here. This line is a bit lumpy and bumpy. I think I deliberately made it that way. Yes, I did. And I stopped here. So down the bottom here, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put like a little band here, and I'm going to make the bottom line of each pair a little bit wider than the top one, and then it looks like we've got that something, you know, things held together, or a little band of some kind, a ring of some kind put round them in some kind of way, which I quite like. I could do it as well here with the leaves actually. So I'll do the same thing here. Just like something just to hold things together, but also to give a definite finish from one motif to another. So the leaf would carry on all the way around here, and I quite like finishing it off and having the shell all on its own, sort of incidental there. Okay, at the top here, I'm going to make the lines here to the left a little bit thicker, like so. That instantly adds that feeling of dimension, of something being thicker or higher up than another. So, and I'm just going to use a finer pen. I've got an 01 here, and I'm just going to go back to the bottom and just add some line weight. I find this is often the neatest way for me to do this, although I sometimes forget when I get into the flow. I try and use the same size pen I was doing and go, oh, what a mess I've made of this. I think, oh, I should use a thinner one. Comes the next opportunity to do this, what do I do? Exactly the same thing. So I do want a finer pen. Cap my 01. Where's that 03? I did see an 03 here. I've got an 03, yes. Okay, so what I want to do as well is I want to put a finer line, finer border, finer aura, if you will. And check, that would go behind there, so I don't need to draw a little bit in. But next door to these thicker areas, because again, it gives that feeling of there being more ink there, so more shadow there. I'm not going to do it with this one because I feel there's going to be something else coming off these here. But what I do want to do is to go back to the 05, and I'm going to start adding 05. Shall I use the 05? No, I'll use the 03 actually, because I'll start adding some patterns in here, and I'm just going to go between that thin line and the first whichever there. So not from the thick line, but from between these two. I'm going to start here. So I'm going to start with a long, thin, rounded rectangle, or just an ordinary rectangle, a single line would do, but I always go back and round everything, so I might as well draw them round to begin with. If I'm careful enough, I won't have those tiny little gaps I need to go back and fill in. What I've worked out as well, these are an old pair of reading glasses that I've had, and I haven't used them much over the past few months. I really need my newer prescription, I think. I was feeling a bit headachy this morning. I've had a few days of headaches this week as well. And it's been perishingly cold at times. So when it's really cold, upstairs is much colder than downstairs. So I tend to stay downstairs as much as I can. Today it's not so bad, it's quite mild. I forgot to put some socks on before I settled down here though. So my toes are feeling a bit on the cooler side. But it's just grey and damp and out. And as much as I have considered going for a walk, it just wasn't going to happen today. So that already starts to separate one element from another. I'll tell you what else I'm going to do. I've decided, I've got a brush, got a Pigma Micron brush here, and I have decided that I really want these just black for now, because I can use a white gel pen to add some patterns or designs into them, and I think I'd be happy with that, because if you remember I said last week I wasn't at all happy with any of these shapes, and looking at them I'm really not happy. If I'm still not happy about them after a week, then I need to do something about them, and the best way is let's cover them up and then do something with a white gel pen, because that would work quite nicely. So I've done this in one section. In the next section I'm going to do something similar, but I'm going to make these shapes bigger, quite a bit bigger actually, because this adds quite a lot of ink here so it looks darker, and this one I want it to feel a bit more open. Now they don't have to be perfectly rectangular, they don't have to be all the same size or same shape. It's however your pen draws these lines. And that's a bit messy there, so we'll tidy that up maybe. Yep, got it, mostly. But that's a job really for a finer pen. I need to remember to leave these and go back to them. So I hope you're doing fine and well, and that this run up to the holiday season, to Christmas and all the other holidays that are going on at this time, or festivals, that you're coping well. I have to say it's usually not a very good time of year for me. I don't have many, if any, happy memories of Christmas. Right back even to childhood, I really don't. And as I've got older, it just doesn't do me any good. So if I go quiet for a couple of weeks, particularly soon, you'll know why now. So I've explained that. Once we get into January, then I'll be fine again. It's something that happens each and every year, I have to say. And I've worked on it, tried to get, well, I know what the bottom root of it is, but there's nothing I can do about it seems. So it's just self-care. And if that's the case for you, then it's okay. It's okay to say you don't like Christmas, or whatever holiday you celebrate. It's okay to say, I'm not taking part in this, because it is crazy. I've always found it a crazy kind of situation to be in, or situation thing where there's so much pressure to eat and spend, and I'm just thinking, no, I'm not taking part in this. And so many other messages that don't gel with me, but let's not dwell on that. Let's keep this upbeat and happy. And of course, if that's what you enjoy, I'm very happy for you, because we're all different, aren't we? I'm just so happy, more than anything, that my digestive system has just calmed down. I haven't had it so calm for years. I've put it all down to one medication I've been taking all this time. And so did the medical profession, because it all really got worse when I had to, well, it got worse when I had to double the dose not long ago, nearly a year ago. But it's been a problem for a long time, and I've just put it down to that. And so did they. So I suspect that getting my digestive system under a better kind of control will help my other health conditions at this time. Seems to have. Oh, and yeah, an improvement in anemia will help as well. So I do know that early on in January I've got to have another blood test to check that my iron levels are now a bit higher than they were again, just into the normal range. And if I can get it up a little bit more, then there'll be a discussion about how I manage anemia going forward. So, particularly, I'm sure, because I've had to go vegan, which isn't a problem, as I've said. There's no way you get me back eating meat, so yeah. So dairy is out and eggs are out. Eggs have been out for a long time. I rarely eat eggs. In fact, they turn my stomach, so that's a good indication that they're not for me. The smell can make me want to vomit, to be honest, when they're cooking. So this last one, I think I'll do the same. Well, that's interesting. I've done this one all small, and it's really a continuation of this one, isn't it? So this one should be all nice and small, which is never a problem, because we can just go back and split them up, and nobody will know unless you tell them. Honest. That makes more sense now. Yeah, because I thought it might have been, oh no, it was one of the feathers, wasn't it? Oh well, it's now split up like this, so hey ho, it's now one of these parts. It's fine, they'll be okay. Just don't tell anybody, and people will just assume it's meant to be like that. Honestly. So you can see that carries on here. I suppose this one almost looks like it goes down here, doesn't it? So it doesn't look like one of the feathery leaves. Perhaps there's just 3 there. I don't know. Oh, what a good idea, Angela. You really did not think that out very well, did you? The answer is no, I didn't. So in this one, I'm going to put wide versions in. Curve them round with the curves as well, so that these are at a right angle more or less to the lines. And then I can just go back and round all of this out, I think. And then because it's at such a different angle to these, it will actually look okay, I think. Yes. Can't believe I did that there. That's what Chopsing About Life, the Universe and Everything does to you. So I haven't really got anything exciting to report or to mention. There's been a lot of days of a lot of self-care, being kind to myself and doing what I need in order to function, I suppose. Oh, started doing a family tree. I think it was 2 weeks ago now. And on one branch of the tree, I've already got back to the sixth great grandparents. So that would be 8 generations away from me, I think, or is it 7? So I'll have parents, grandparents, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 generations back up from me. So, and it's finding my father's father. It seems to be an impossibility. I don't know how I'm going to manage that, but there's been some surprises along the way, including links with branch of the family that came from Ireland, and how much different branches of the family have sort of like connected with various places at the same time, and yet they're different branches. So it's not, you know, like my father's family all are from Halifax in Yorkshire, but my branches of my grandmother's family, I think it is, yeah, are also from that kind of area as well. And so that's really interesting to me. So I've also had some having some DNA analysed as well for heritage, but you know, for other things as well, no doubt. I don't know how long they're going to take. They said 6 to 8 weeks. So I've had a notification from one company, which is Ancestry, that they've received them, but not that any processing is being done yet. So mine will be there in a queue of many other people who got them, especially as I bought mine during the Black Friday sales, because they were reasonable price then. The other one I sent off at the beginning of last week because it arrived later. I bought them on exactly the same day. And yet one was a week longer arriving. Best not to ask. And so I sent that off. I haven't had any updates on where that may be. So with this one, without any thought, it just seemed that these needed to curl around in this kind of way, which again gives a feeling of movement here. And for now, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some weight to the bottom lines, like so, and to this one. Get that fine pen again and come back and just do some corner rounding. Just tidying things up, especially where there's some little white bits. I definitely do need to bring up my pair of glasses from downstairs, a pair of my bifocals. So these really aren't good for me anymore. I think the prescription is very slightly different, but obviously now, as time has gone on, differences change. You can't stop the altering of your eyesight, I'm afraid. You have perfect vision throughout your life, you know, as in perfectly being able to focus and see without the use of glasses. Brilliant. But I'm not one of those people, unfortunately. So we've got some movement going on. But here, what size is that? That's the 03. Ha! That is why. Fine lines there, I think. That's okay though, because I'll use my 05. Actually, there's not a lot of difference between them. So I'm just going to add something there, and then we're going to start to add some shapes here as if I've got some kind of column going on. And I think I may just add a line there to define that, but I think I'm going to have this line going around like this. Again, I'm going to add some extra ink to the left and the bottom of this lower line. Top line can remain rather finer, thinner. Like so. That is so... I so want to put an eye here and a nose. Let's do it. Angela noses. I don't do faces, she says. I don't. But they seem to occur in my drawing and they're not anatomically correct or in any kind of way, but then do they have to be? That actually looks rather cool. And I think we'll just take something down and around here, perhaps further down and up, connect it here, and then I'm going to put an eye in here. Ooh, geez, it's windy. That's a heck of a gust. I know it's forecast to be well windy today. Good reason not to go anywhere in my book. High winds, wet rain. There. Little smart car, which does have wind assist on it, so it will help me. In fact, even in weather conditions like this, I'd barely notice it was windy. Occasionally been shocked when I've got out the car somewhere and discovered that I'm nearly blown off my feet, and I thought, oh, I didn't realise it was windy, because it wasn't when I left home. Yeah, great things. So we've got this here. And I'm just going to give something like that. There we go. And with this one, I think I'll have the teeth bending outwards. Simple lines, and then I'm just going to put a line to separate them, but I'm going to use a finer pen for a moment. There's my 03, it's there. Because there's some things I want to do here just to help with everything. One is I'd really do want some line thickness elsewhere. It's actually a lot easier to add the line thickness, believe it or not, with a thinner pen. And I'm going to add little curves to the top and the bottom of these teeth to give an appearance of gums, I suppose. Big cheesy grins. I'm just putting like little diamonds in between, curved sides like that, as if there's to signify a gap there. And here I think I do just want this to appear darker in the corner of the mouth. There we go. That's a very sharp chin. I can live with that though. Okay, so let's have a look. How can we add something here? This speaks to me that we could have this connecting here in some way. And I want to add some line weight there and there. This speaks to me, but I'm not quite sure how I want to make use of this. Perhaps I will just split it like so and have lines there. That works. works enough for me. So I've got that going on there. I'm going to have another line that I think touches the corner of the mouth. So it's come off this spiral that forms the nose and down this way. Again, I'm just going to round corners and I'm going to thicken that line a little bit. And I might actually just perhaps add some here. It's almost like tattoos, isn't it? Sort of. I don't know whether it really is. And then I want to do something here, but before I do anything here, I'm going to add some line weight here to this chinny chin chin. And then let me have a look. So from here, that seems to be, that feels the right thing to do. I don't know why. It just does. Just picked a point to start and it seemed to be there. And actually now I've rounded the corners, that actually feels like it belongs. So I'm going to do the same going along. I'm going to have it narrow here and just widen out here. And again, add some wine. No, I'm not adding wine. Wine late. Line weight. I really don't get to use my words often enough these days. And that's becoming a bit of a problem, I think. Times. Either that or when I'm drawing, my mind is just in the realms of drawing, not words. Right, let me just tidy that up. So I've got this going on. That's fierce. That's really seriously a fierce one. I am going to come around here and just add a few more areas of pattern like this there, I think. Again, let's make the lower one there darker in the same way I made this one darker. And I'll go back and add the finer lines in a moment. But then at the bottom here is where I do want to do something. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put something that looks like a plinth. Or a shelf, perhaps in, like so. And I want to do something at the bottom that would be like that as well. My line's not perfect, by the way. This one dips in the middle, but I'm not too worried because it's, again, it's all drawn by hand. So you can tell it's not AI. Definitely human made. Even when I work on the computer, I try not to have my lines too perfect, because I still want it to look like it's created by a human. It's incredibly difficult to do, but you know, it's obviously me doing it. Now here, I seem to have these squares. Oh gosh, I made a right mess of that one. These squares with, you know, hoopy bits, curved bits on the edge of the foliage. So I think some kind of square pattern would look good here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw one and then I'm going to split it up with a couple of lines and just round inside, and that will add some density of ink to these, so they will look a lot darker. Now in the next one, I don't really want to have the lines going in the same direction or to meet up. I'm just going to have one line in this one. Perhaps a narrower area here with perhaps lines that are more or less level, or horizontal I should say, though I'm drawing them vertically. And it just gives a feeling of things that are cracked and broken. So that's slightly different. And I could make them all the same and make it into a regular pattern, but I'm using the idea to vary how I do this, to vary the appearance of each. So it's It's a pattern in the sense that the way that it's created is coherent, but it's not a repetitious pattern as such. That makes sense? I'm going to do that this time because I've got a little triangle in the corner there. It may be that I'd like to do that down here as well and split this one into smaller pieces. Nothing says I can't. It's just where the lines end up. I'm trying not to overthink and consider where I put things. I am looking before I add a line just to make sure I don't join them together because I don't want them to go from one section to the next. And if I've got a lot of ink in one place, I'm fine with that. It is what it is. The imperfection, isn't it? Well, that's a curved line there. I like that. Who says we can't? And then in the corner I've just got a small section of something that's hidden behind there. The fact that it carries on here automatically brings this towards the front. So that is all the line work. Oh, I am going to just put the pencil line in here. What I will do here probably, I don't think I want to fill it in with black. That's my 03, this is my 01. So I'm going to go back with the 01 and I'm going to fill this section in with some cross hatching. So I'm going to put roughly some parallel lines in. So if I zoom in, hopefully you see, try and keep my hands out of the way so you can see where my pen's going. So lots of lines that are roughly straight and parallel. They don't have to be perfect. I'm trying to keep the spacing between them about the same. If it isn't, it's fine. I'm not breaking these either. I'm drawing solid lines because to break them would leave a lot of white in between them in such a small space, and I'm not wanting that. I want to use this instead of solid black to fill this area in, to say there's something really dark and distant behind this. Is it night sky? Is it something else? Is it a crack? Is there a cave? Is it part of a doorway? I don't know. I've only got this bit of it. Could be any of these things or something completely different. Sounding like it ought to be an Indiana Jones movie here. So that already has darkened that up, but to cross hatch I need to go back. Well, I'm going back at 90 degrees, but it really doesn't matter, and I'm doing this in a fairly regular fashion where I'm keeping the lines, trying to keep the lines more or less the same distance. It gets easier in smaller places to do that. If they're wobbly and wibbly, it's not a problem. It's just about bringing extra ink into a space. That's darkened that up. Yeah. The teeth here, I want to put something that suggests a shadow to the left. So I'm just going to put a small line with a little curve on the end. I don't want it to touch the middle line. That automatically gives that feeling. Yeah, I was on camera. Just zoom back out. That automatically gives a feeling of curvature, that these aren't flat. There's something else going on there. Around the eye here, I'm going to put, again, I'm using these rounded rectangles just to fill this in. Because I quite fancy having something that's quite dark here. I suppose it would represent the iris of the eye and the patterns that you find there, it's kind of, but it's more stylized than that. one of the things I'm trying to remember and keep in mind, I think this is why I didn't like the one that has a lot of pattern or a lot of darkness on it, is to try to keep to a very small number of filler patterns I'm using, textural patterns, because that brings a cohesiveness, a coherence to the whole piece, and it doesn't feel like everything's everywhere. I've got the choice to make, once I've drawn everything, what pattern I put where or what I use where. And so I quite like having this ability to use the same kind of patterning in different areas for different purposes. Now here is somewhere I really do want to have something, and I'm going to use quite a broken pattern like so, as if the rock has cracked and crazed in a crazy kind of way, like crazy paving, I suppose. And it just gives a different textural pattern, but the idea is the same as those little rectangles and the more squarer rectangles that I've used. It just adds some texture and pattern here in a way that looks different but is still the same kind of way of doing things, I suppose. Just lots of different shapes all splitting up the area. I am going back here and I am going and round them just to make the shapes more rounded, and that just adds a little bit more ink as well, so it defines this better. And you can see the difference here compared to this side that I haven't touched yet. It is much darker, but it's still quite a light pattern. It's got this very distinct lines, very clear lines. The more rounded shapes as well. So there we go. That'll do. So that's quite nice. This one here, this little bit here, I'm going to fill with the cross hatching again. Yeah, and just to bring the curve and everything else up to the forefront, I think. Okay, these teeth are a bit too fine for me to use even an 01 on, but what I am going to do is I'm just going to go back, perhaps define these just a little bit more. I'm trying to think how I could put some, actually I think I can. That's okay, that'll work. And this one. Drawing very slowly there, that's better. Yes, I did it, I managed to get it. Around this eye I'm going to do the same kind of thing as on the previous one. And yes, I know the iris is around the pupil in an eye, but perhaps these aren't human eyes. Does it matter in a drawing? I don't think so. I'm using this more to add layering patterns that will help to bring some sense of depth, dimension, layers to the design. So some things where you've got a lot of lines or pattern or thickness of lines, push them towards the back and bring other objects near them closer to the front. That's the whole purpose of adding shading or shadow, and light of course. Though I won't need to add light because the paper is very white to begin with. So there we go. I know I've got other places to do, but at the moment I don't know. Oh, I do know. Here I just want to put one of those lines in. I definitely do here. like so. And with this one, I'm going to put, again, straight lines, almost like cross hatching, but I am, you can't see, sorry. What I'm doing, if I can zoom in so you can see. Let's move it over so you can see. Come on, Angela. Yes, up a bit, up a bit. That's it. So I'm putting the lines close together, but I'm just randomly wiggling them. Wiggly lines or wriggly lines, whichever way you prefer to say it. Occasional one that's almost straight. The wiggle is not strong with me today. Forces, though, always. Sorry, Star Wars, what can I say? There we go. So again, that's given a different feel there. Now if I look at the whole of it, which is what I want to do, does that feel that it belongs there? I think so, because it's not as dark as this, but it feels like it's underneath this section a little bit, as if this is overhanging it and it's a bit in shadow. And I think I can accentuate that if I make this line a little bit thicker here, like so. And particularly if I add some lines to this here. So this looks like it's in shadow, but not as dark a shadow as that. So we've got front, middle, background, deep background. There we go. So that's working. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it for today, because this will be the best part of an hour long. I hope you're enjoying this series of videos. Sorry, I'll try and keep my hands out the way. These series videos. Let me put my pens there because I need a picture, don't I, for the video. I hope this is something that you're enjoying. I'm sure if you don't, you'll let me know in the comments. And if you'd like me to continue with this, then just say. I'm not going to try and fill all the patterns in today, and I won't do anything in between videos unless I feel the ultimate urge to. But next video I'll be starting moving this way, or perhaps from here out. Sometimes if I start in the same place every time, it feels very structured, as in with patterns and designs. So if I started all at the bottom and worked my way up, it would all end up looking a bit like these, I suppose. But if I start somewhere else and create some shapes and lines and forms and what's going on there, then it sort of works out. I tell you what I do want to do before I do anything else, though, is I am going to add a circle there, because I feel this is an unusual kind of shape. I'm not sure what I want to do with it in between, but if I add a circle here, then it defines some space in which we can add things to that leafy section. So I've done that now. I just feel that would be good. And then I've got different areas to work on next time. And the only thing I'm going to do here really is I want to add some shade. I say shade. Line weight, it works the same way, and I'm going to add line weight here to the inner line. I'm really so there we go. So it's beginning to grow now, isn't it? It certainly is. And I'm just hoping that you are enjoying this as I adjust the camera a little bit so everything looks good. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, take care, look after yourselves, and more than anything else, take time to be creative. Bye-bye for now. Bye. Bye all. Ta-ra.